friends and family. Welcome to Crocheting with Michelle. I'm so excited today. I want to do an unboxing video. People do these and I love to watch them. And so today I'm going to unbox for you my first, it's a subscription box and it's from the Leither Co. This is by Ashley Leither. She is in Texas. She's an independent dyer, so she dyes her yarns by hand. And I had to actually get on a waiting list to get on her subscription box. And I was so excited when it opened up again for like new subscriptions. I was like running to the computer and signing to get on. I have ordered a single skein of yarn from her before, and the quality was just fantastic. And so I'm really excited. So we'll go ahead and unbox it together so we can see what it is. You're supposed to get one skein of yarn that will vary in weights, always a different colorway. And with it is included a pattern. She has both a knit version and a crochet version of the pattern. Sometimes they'll be the same item. Like, for example, this year for her knit collection, she is doing beanies. Every month is another beanie, a different pattern beanie that Ashley writes. And the crochet patterns will vary. So sometimes it might be a beanie as well, just a crocheted version of it. And sometimes it might be something entirely different. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it is. I already cut the tape so it'd be easier to open. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, how lovely. Look at this. Can you see these purples in here? It has more of a bluish purple. And then up here, there's more of like a darker maroon. If I turn it in the light, can you see better? Oh, how beautiful. It has a little bit of like a deeper green right here as well. And there's a little bit of a browny yellow on this side. Oh, this is going to be so lovely. She does most of her bases, like the actual yarn content, is 100% superwash merino wool, and it's just so soft. Like I want to pet it with my face. Can you see in this green right here? If I tilt this way, can you see in the light? There's like striations a little bit in this green from how like the color was dyed there. That is so beautiful to me. And I love how at this point in the yarn, you can see it's transitioning from a green that's on this back side. It's transitioning from that green into this purple. So you get a little bit of it overlapping. It's like a more of a pinky, warmer purple. Oh, this is going to be lovely. Here, let me take off the little tag so we can see what's underneath as well. Oh, beautiful. Family, for those of you who aren't as familiar with different yarn constructions, this is called a twisted hank, which is the shape, right? So you can see it's like a twist, like a cinnamon twist from the donut shop that most of the hand dyers do their yarn in, so they don't have to spend all the extra time to put it like sort of in a traditional yarn ball or skein. But I can do that myself because Jefferson got me for Christmas a yarn ball winder. Oh, how beautiful. Okay, let's see what the pattern is that came with it. Oh, how perfect. Okay, I don't want to show you the pattern because it's a paid pattern, so I'm going to cover up the pattern size, but you can see the picture. They're fairy tale wrist warmers. I cannot even tell you how excited I am because I have been wanting wrist warmers actually. Here is another picture of the wrist warmers there. They have, looks like some ribbing along there, and then almost like a sort of diagonal stitch coming up across the hand. I might do this exact pattern, or I might change and do a slightly different pattern with this yarn. Again, so these don't come up over the hand at all, right? They're just straight wrist warmers. But I've been eyeing some other patterns that are like fingerless mitts. So they come all the way up over the palm of your hand and have like a little thumb hole and it's open for the 4 fingers. But it's kind of like, she calls them fairy tale. That's adorable. But it kind of sounds like romantic, not like like an in love romantic, but like, you know, like a romantic era, sort of romantic idea to me to use this yarn specifically that she dyed for the pattern that she sent to even though I could think of lots of other things to do with this yarn. Let me show you again the picture. I'm just going to fold over where the pattern is so that that part is her intellectual property. I'm respecting that. But what I love about this picture is that you can see how the yarn works up. So when it's in the in the twisted hank, right? It looks like it's big stripes of color, and it's really truly beautiful this way. And I just have to tell you, sometimes I'm tempted to just keep the twisted hank like this, like as a decoration on my side table, because it is so beautiful to me. So beautiful. But when it's worked up in a crochet pattern, right, it looks different. So you can see how it'll have like all those little bits of color, but they're all sort of in different places. And I actually think like a wrist warmer or a fingerless mitt is a great place to do that. I don't know, I'm becoming more creative with different ways of using color in my clothing since I've been looking at crocheting and knitting. And Mom, if you're listening, I think you've been rubbing off on me this way too. It's not just colors, what I think look classy, like I normally think of from your wardrobe, but it's also the joy of creating and how much more fun it is to do colors when you have different colors to change with. And the yarn, right, will naturally move from one color to another as you're working with it. And so I just think that that's so beautiful. Oh yeah, the camera doesn't want to focus on the yarn when it can see my face. It's so, so beautiful. I mean, look at this striping right here. Oh my goodness. So beautiful, these stripes, how they come through. I just super love that. Okay, let's see what the beanie is, even though I don't knit. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is a picture of Ashley modeling her beanie for us, and it's the fairy tale knit beanie. Oh, what is the yarn called? Is that like a fairy tale? The name of the yarn colorway is called fairy tale. Oh, okay, now we have to look at it again. So that's why it's called fairy tale. Restorers of the fairy tale beanie, because fairy tale is the name of this yarn sort of color combo. I can see that. I can picture like fairies out fluttering through the woods, right? Oh, how beautiful. Okay. Now looking at her beanie again. Here it goes. I have not made my own beanie before. I have a beautiful, here's the picture of the knit one. And so like sort of close up on how the hat will actually look. And here it is on Ashley. Yeah, I don't know anything about knitting. This is a DK weight yarn, 100 grams or 231 yards. For knitting needles, she's recommending a US size 9 or 5.5 millimeter. For the crochet pattern, she's recommending a size F, a 3.75 millimeter. I wonder how much of the yarn you actually use for the wrist warmers or for the beanie. Like, are you going to use it all up? Let's see, for the beanie, it's worked from the bottom up. She just things like stockinette and cast on. I know those are knitting terms, but I don't know what they mean at all. Marisa, if you're watching, Marisa's my sister, then she's a knitter, so she will understand that. But with the wrist warmers, they're also work from the bottom up. I'm going to work in the round. That makes really good sense. Yeah, I would like to go look at some other patterns and see how much yarn they recommend, because I love the idea of using this yarn, like sort of maximizing the use of it, right? And not just using like a little teeny bit of it. And so if these wrist warmers, if they don't use all of the yarn, I would love to maybe use a different pattern that can really maximize this yarn. I think it's so, so pretty. But again, fingerless mitts. This might be a really great way to use them. But I think it looks really fun in a hat too. It almost feels like, we pull back here to the hat picture again, it almost feels like there's some neutrals happening there, even though it's like lots of pinks. Like the pinks are the way they, I'll show you in the hank again. We think the pinks come together with sort of this like warm brown down here. This sort of like, it's not brown, right? It's like a tan and cream with a little like hint. I feel like there's a little hint of like yellowish in here along with the cream and the tan. And when I look at the hank overall, I just think like, oh, there's this teeny pop of this down here, but mostly it's like pinks and purples. But when you see it worked up in the hat, now every hank is going to be slightly different, right? Because it's hand dyed. When you see it worked up in here, it really looks like a lot more neutral colors are in there, and you're just seeing little pieces. So that's actually really interesting. I started to mention about hats. So I have a homemade hat that my mom made for me on a hat loom, and I super love it. It's 100% wool, and it's in just a plain cream color, and I wanted that on purpose that it could go with anything. And It's a really simple sort of stitch that Hat Loom makes, but she has like a folded over brim. I'll show it to you another time. I super love it. But now I'm like, I could have more than one hat. Like, and even again, just because she, Ashley Leither sent me this pattern, which is the crochet pattern, right? I don't know how to make the knit one. I could, if I wanted, go find another crochet pattern to use for it. I would just make sure and use the same weight yarn. I'm kind of loving the DK weight yarn right now, which if I have friends or family watching this who aren't as familiar with yarn, it's a slightly thinner, like the yarn itself is slightly thinner than a lot of maybe like traditional yarns you think of. Can you see in my fingers here? That's how thin the yarn is. So it's really, really similar, but like when I think about the yarn skeins that my mom would have around the house growing up, it was just a slightly thicker yarn. It's like a worsted weight yarn. They have like numbers assigned to the weight categories. The worsted weight that I think of as yarn is a category 4. This is category 3. So again, I just pulled out this little piece here so you could see like on my fingers, that's how thin a category 3 is. And I'm really, really liking this weight of yarn right now. It's not so thin, it's like thread. You have to spend forever trying to work it up into something, but it's also not so thick that your end fabric is going to be super chunky. What I want to go do now, maybe I'll do a little bit with you. I want to look at this book, One Skein Crochet. The subtitle is Destash Beautifully, One Skein at a Time. And this is by Ellen Gormley. You can see, check this out from the library, and I keep renewing it. And luckily for me, nobody else has discovered this yet, and so they haven't asked to check it out, and I haven't had to return it. And I've made 2 patterns already from this book and have it in my docket to make several more. I made this one already, the Bruges Wedge Cowl, with the other yarn that I previously got from Ashley Leither. I super love this. I'll show it to you another time. Here's another sort of close-up on that one. It uses these wedges, and so you can, these sort of triangular shaped pieces, and you just keep adding them on until you run out of yarn, basically. And I love that concept that you can like really maximize the yarn use. That's what this whole book is about. There are lots of yarn books, or pattern books rather, that say, here's tiny small projects you can do if you only have a little bit of yarn. But they'll often like just use tiny bits of yarn and then you still have some left over. This book really focuses on modifications built into patterns so that you can maximize use of whatever yarn you have. And so the yarn that I made that Bruges Wedge Cowl out of was the same base from the Leither Co. It was 100% merino wool, DK weight, 100 grams. So it's the same thing. So I don't want to do the same thing again, same pattern from this, but this book has a section in it where it talks about all the different project yardages and weights. And so you can see different things that are available. And so what I'm going to do here, so you can see what else is there in DK weight. They have a tumbling motifs scarf. I know what that one looks like. It's kind of weird. I don't know that I'd want to make that one. They have a shawlette. Look, it's like a shawl, but it's tiny. And it just sort of sits barely on top of your shoulders. I feel like you need to be more of a fashionista than I am to get away with wearing a shawlette. I don't know about that one. Market bag. I have a couple market bags. Love them. No way on earth am I going to use my like nice luxe hand-dyed yarn on a market bag because it's going to get thrown all over the place and get dirty. Maybe some people use their market bags more judiciously, but I want to like make mine work. Okay, I haven't really made mine work because of this pretty cream color. I don't want it to get too dirty, but still I'm like using it. And this is like 100% merino and it's expensive and I don't want it to be a bag. So I'm not going to do that. A Bruges motif top. I don't have quite as much yardage as they're saying, even though it's DK weight that wants 255 yards. I have 231. I actually really want to make the Bruges motif top, but I already have bought yarn for that. Santa got me some, and then I got another skein to go with it to make sure I have enough. So I'm probably going to do that already. The other one I might do though is the Solomon's wrap. Let's see what page is that one on. I can show you guys that one. That might be really cool to do in this yarn. The picture has this sort of pea soup green color. Like, I don't even know what is happening here. That's the Solomon's wrap. And in the other picture, you can see sort of how long it goes, like that. And but what's great is in all the patterns in this book, it shows you like how much you can, how you can adapt it if you have more or less. So this is calling for 306 yards. I don't have near that much, but it's okay because, look how long that scarf is. and I don't have to make it that long, or I don't even have to make it that wide if I don't want to. Well, probably making it longer would be easier. I mean, to not make that longer than making it not that wide. I'm still not that experienced to be able to change the patterns entirely. But I could totally do that out of this as well. My hesitation about using this pattern with this yarn is that if I do, can you see the texture of it here? Maybe I'll show you the other picture again so you can see the texture of it there, right? Like see where it's over her shoulder. It's really lacy mesh. Uses this stitch called a Solomon's knot, which I haven't learned yet, but it's okay, she teaches you how, so it's gonna be fine. If I do that, this is shown in a single color. Again, I wouldn't do mine probably in pea soup green, though if that were soup, it'd be super tasty. But I would, as I'm thinking about this color way, right? I'm worried that some of the intricacies of the color would get lost with so lacy a stitch. Let's look again at the picture that came with the pattern, right? Like look at all the different colors. Like there's a lot happening here. I almost wonder if I'd rather do something smaller, right? In order to get a scarf that length out of just one skein of yarn, you have to have it be lacy, right? You have to have a lot of holes in your fabric to make that work. I wonder if I would rather do something with the more solid fabric, right? Whether it's wrist warmers or fingerless mitts or not, or a beanie, right? I think I'll find a different pattern for a crocheted version of the beanie. But it's a more solid, dense fabric. Like, I'll just show you one more time what I mean, right? Like, see how much more dense that fabric is than, say, the Solomon's wrap. And you can see the colors a lot more what's happening. Like, the point of this kind of yarn is all these different colors, right? Like, it's hand dyed. You pay more of a premium because somebody's hands were all in this. Somebody chose the different placements, the color, and the. Okay, so I watched another video on YouTube about hand dyeing, and I got to see, I don't know if Ashley's done one, but I watched another hand dyer. One of my other favorite crochet YouTubers is, her name is Taylor, and her channel is Wool Needles Hands. She's a knitter. She's also a hand dyer. And so what you can get, let's take this part, for example, where you have this like warmish purple over here. Like, it's not really a maroon. It's like a red violet kind of color here. I'm going to tilt so you can see maybe a little bit better in this natural light. But look how like it's fading out gradually, right? Like you get that gradual fade when you hand dye. You don't get that the same way when it's just machine dyed or like in huge vats in a factory, right? So the point, right, of getting this kind of yarn is the different color things that you're seeing. And like, look right here, for example, this kind of color that's happening right here with this splotchiness between the green and this dark, dark purple. It's so dark, it almost looks black on the screen, but it's not. It's just a really deep purple. But like more on the red side of purple. And it's so beautiful. So I don't know. I don't think, as I'm thinking more about this book and the Solomon's wrap, I'm thinking that Solomon's wrap would not highlight the yarn the way that I would love to have happen. Again, here's just a picture for reference. I don't think it would highlight the yarn the way that I want. So jury's still out on what this beautiful yarn is going to become. But I realized that I was remiss in showing you one other thing that was in the box. Ashley also loves to design her own stickers, which I think is so much fun. So many people in the crafting community don't just have one love in the crafting community. They do other things as well. And so with each of Ashley's boxes, she does some sort of little extra thing added that's kind of not standard, but common with subscription boxes for yarn. And last year she did like stitch markers that her daughter was making. This year she's doing stickers that she herself has designed. So here is the sticker for this month. It says "My plan for today." And it shows a lady sitting in her armchair with yarn all around her and she's crocheting. And that makes me so happy because yes, I love how she has all the yarn. Is she using all the yarn right now? Nobody knows. Nobody knows, but it needs to be there. So probably brings her inspiration just because it's around her, which is what happens with me. All right, I've probably talked way more than you've wanted to hear about my first subscription box from Leither Co, but I'm really, really excited. I'll do another video probably about how I chose this subscription box. I looked but a lot. And actually had ordered a different subscription box first, which I subsequently canceled. I was actually just waiting for Leither Co. Is what I was doing. I was trying something else and was really, really happy when I was able to get into this one. But thank you all for listening. I just needed somebody to talk at for a long time about my yarn. Love you all. I'll talk to you later.